Hello. As you can see, I've got my hat and I'm ready for our armchair traveling, which is going to come just a little bit later in today's senior topic lesson. But first, I'm going to start. My name is June Edwards, and I'm your happy traveling guide to take us through the southwestern part of the United States. But before I do that, I want to go over the second week calendar of August and see some of the special events that you've probably already been celebrating. On the 8th of August, Thomas Edison received a patent for the mimeograph machine in 1876. On August 9th of 1930, remember the cartoon with Betty Boop? Boop, boop, a-doop, a-doop, boop. Well, Betty Boop came into being and she's still popular with a lot of people. I find her items in gift shops everywhere I go. August 10th is the birthday for President Herbert Hoover. He was born in 1874 in Ohio and led us through the first difficult years of the Great Depression. On August 12th, Hawaii was annexed to the United States as a territory in 1898. In 1981, on August 12th, the IBM personal computer was announced in 1981. Can you believe that? What is that, like 30 years ago? I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? Annie Oakley was born in 1860 on August 13th. It is also International Left Hand Day. If you are what we call a left-hander, August 13th this week will be your day. August 14th in 1945 was a really big day because Japan surrendered in World War II. 1945. You can tour the ship where the emperor and his generals signed treaties that officially ended the war in the Pacific. August 15th, National Relaxation Day. Oh boy, I think we can all use one of those with all the things going on in the world today. Time to relax. And the last one, which I really love, August 16th, National Tell a Joke Day. And boy, have I got some good jokes for you. It's only a week away. All right, so that's the calendar. Now what I want to look at is a little bit of reminiscing. You know, we've had to watch a lot of TV lately because we've kind of been stuck around home base. So let's look at some of the best classic television shows from the 1950s, which is considered to be the golden age of television. Many began watching TV for the first time in the 1950s. I know that's when my family got a personal black and white television set. But by the end of the decade, just about every American family had their own television set. Some of the favorites that people enjoyed watching were comedies because they were out of World War II and they wanted to get on with the business of living and creating new families, buying a home, and living the American dream. One of the favorite comedies of all time that developed then was the I Love Lucy show with Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball, who were really married in real life. Another good one was The Honeymooners. The Honeymooners, you know, remember Ralph, who was played by Jackie Gleason? Remember his long-suffering wife, Alice? Alice! And he was always calling her, and he was quite a loud mouth. Well, I'd like to give you some interesting facts about television that goes back even before the 1950s. One of the first original TV programs in America was a ghost story. It was called The Television Ghost, and it was 1931. It featured an actor dressed as dead people telling the source stories of their murders. I guess it was a very primitive kind of thing, and most people couldn't watch it. Most people could not afford a TV back then. Number 2, Stephen Fry claims the UK record for swearing on TV the most times in one live TV broadcast. I don't think I'd be that proud of that record. My mama taught me to watch my mouth and always speak kindly around others. Number 3, most of us dream in color, but those that grew up watching black and white TV will often dream in black and white. Has that happened to you? I don't know. I don't remember because I don't remember that many of my dreams. The ones I do remember seem to be pretty vivid in color. The British show Top Gear is the most watched TV show with an estimated 350 million weekly viewers in 170 countries. What's it about? Beats me. I never watched it. Top Gear. Must be an adventure story. The first scripted interracial kiss on US TV was on Star Trek. It was meant to be filmed with the kiss and then again without the kiss. Will Shatner and Nichols deliberately flubbed every take of the shot without the kiss so that those could not be used. And voila, the kiss was shown between a white person and a black person. Number 6, Richard Belzer as John Munch is the only fictional character played by one single actor to appear on 10 different TV shows, including Law and Order, SVU, The X-Files, The Wire, and Arrested Development. I'm going to show you a picture of what he looks like. Another one that I really don't know much about. Here's his picture. You're probably going, oh yeah, now I remember him. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. A 1995 television documentary film called The Dying Rooms was made about Chinese state orphanages. The film documents where babies and children, most disabled females, were left to die of thirst or starvation, because in China it was illegal to kill a child directly, but you could do it through neglect. After President Kennedy's death in 1963, the television networks, remember at those days, CBS, ABC, NBC, and that was pretty much it, aired 4 days of commercial-free coverage of his funeral, burial, and other proceedings. It cost them about $100 million in lost advertising revenue, and about 93% of all Americans watched some of the coverage as we said goodbye to our famous president that we called the Camelot president. Number 9, in 1987, a man hijacked a television station during an episode of the English show Doctor Who. He wore a Max Headroom mask and uttered nonsense, and to this day, he has never been caught. Number 10, the inventor of the television would not allow his own children to watch TV. He once said to his son, and this is Philo T. Farnsworth. There's nothing on it worthwhile, and we're not going to watch it in this household, and I don't want it in your intellectual diet. Oh my gosh. And we'll have to go over some other fun facts about TV at a later date because time is moving on. I do want to tell you, though, a few fun facts from I Love Lucy show. Are you ready for these? It aired from October 15, 1951 to May 6, 1957. It was the first scripted TV series filmed with 35 millimeter film in front of a live studio audience. It was also the first show to use a 3-camera format. Those first were not even the most impressive thing about the show. Well, there are other fun facts too. Desi Arnaz was to be named Larry Lopez when the show first came together. It was only changed to Ricky Ricardo because they thought Larry and Lucy just wouldn't fit together. And here's who we're talking about. Remember this guy? Very, very smart producer. William Frawley and Vivian Vance really did not like each other in real life. They played Fred and Ethel. They were more than 20 years apart in age in real life, and that caused friction on the set. They did not get along, and they would constantly name call. It wasn't until years after the show went off the air that their co-stars realized the tension that had existed during the show. What about Lucille Ball's hair? Excuse me, let me get a little drink. Keep my tea handy. Lucille Ball's iconic red hair did not exist before 1942. She dyed her brown hair blonde for the movie DuBarry Was a Lady. She only dyed it blonde when she first came to Hollywood. She would become known later for her bright red hair. That's not what she looked like naturally. Here she is as a blonde in the 1940s. She's a beautiful woman. No wonder they picked her out of the chorus line. 300 audience members watched the filming of the I Love Lucy show. The show was shot in front of a live audience with 300 viewers from the first shoot till the last. Amazingly, there were a lot of one-take scenes. Desi Arnaz later claimed that Lucy Ball works better if there are real people in front watching her perform. Desi Arnaz is probably the best in the industry when we talk about being prepared for every single scene. His incredible memory allowed him to read and memorize every one of his lines in just one script reading. Remember, that was not his natural language. He spoke Spanish. He never messed up his lines despite very little preparation for every single scene. One time, Lucille Ball almost really died in front of her unknowing crew and audience. Do you remember the famous grape stomping scene with Lucy and Ethel stomping and making wine? Turns out Lucille was actually choking on the grape, but she continued to film. Once the cameras turned off, the crew realized, hey, she's actually choking, and came to help. It was the episode titled Lucy's Italian Movie. And that's all we've got on Lucy today. Now I'm going to switch over to Tell a Joke Day. That's going to be this next Monday, a week from tomorrow, on August 16th. Why is there a National Tell a Joke Day? And it should be celebrated all year long, not just one day a year. Who doesn't enjoy a good laugh? You know what they say, laughter does the heart good. And so, merry heart does you good. Why do we love National Tell a Joke Day? It makes us laugh. It's like medicine for the soul. So what else could you want? If you're one of those serious types of people, maybe this day is not for you. Then you can research on a different website. I don't like to laugh day, if you can find one. Second reason we like telling jokes, it makes us happy. A great joke at the right time can turn a frown upside down. Jokes bring happiness to those in need. They distract us from pressing issues. And it makes the person the life of the party. Everyone loves the guy or the girl that can amplify a party by being absolutely funny. Always have a good jokes in the back of your pocket, and not cheesy ones, but good ones. How should you celebrate? This is so you can do your preparation and be ready for next week. Make someone laugh. Strengthen your bond with your friends by telling a joke. Doesn't have to be the Whitey the chicken crossed the road. Doesn't have to be a knock knock joke. Could be something else. Attend a comedy show. Find one that strikes your interest. Make it a date night there in the facility and invite your friends to come with you and enjoy a good laugh or two. And watch the greatest, Jerry Seinfeld. He is the king of comedy's throne. His web series, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, is filled with some of the greatest comedians to walk this earth. If you're looking for a place to start, check out the clips, probably on YouTube. So let's look at a couple jokes. Here are some clean, I know some people are saying, oh no. Yes, they are clean senior citizen jokes. So let's see what you think. And these are from our good friend Maxine, who is sponsored by Hallmark. I haven't seen a good Maxine card in a long time. The local news station was reviewing an 80-year-old lady because she had just gotten married for the 4th time. The interview asked her questions about her life and what it felt like to be marrying again at 80 and about her new husband's occupation. He's a funeral director, she answered. Interesting, the newsman thought. He then asked her if she wouldn't mind telling him a little about her first 3 husbands and what they did for a living. She paused for a few moments, needing time to reflect back all those years. After a short time, a smile came to her face, and she answered proudly, explaining her first husband had been a banker. She married him in her 20s. Then she married a circus ringmaster in her 40s and a preacher in her 60s, and now in her 80s, a funeral director. The interviewer looked at her quite astonished and asked, why have you married 4 men with such different careers? She smiled and explained, I married 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go. Ba-boom. Remember, you have to do that ba-boom like they did on the Johnny Carson show, whenever it was such a silly joke. Well, I'm going to tell you maybe one more. Let's see if I can find. Let me see. What have I got? Have you heard of Murphy's Law, where anything can go wrong and it will go wrong? Well, have you heard about Cole's Law? No, it's a thin sliced cabbage dripped in mayonnaise and sour cream. Cole's Law or Coleslaw. Get it? A Mexican magician tells the audience he will disappear on the count of three. He says, uno, dos, poof. He disappeared without a trace. Uno, dos, tres. All right, you guys, that's it for the jokes this week. Now I want to get into our traveling. I am so ready to travel. How about you? Got my turquoise beads on and my Indian earrings and a good hat for the sun. And you know, it's very, very hot in the southwestern part of the country. We have been traveling all over the United States with our armchair traveling. It's a cheap way to go. Hasn't cost us a dime yet. Okay, the southwestern United States is also known as the American Southwest, the Desert Southwest, or simply the Southwest. Now, which states are included varies depending on who you talk to. It used to be back in the 1940s, they counted anything that was west of a certain point. For instance, it had New Mexico, it had Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, the western part of Texas, and the eastern part, the desert part, I should say the southeastern part of California. Most of the area was part of what was called the Viceroyalty of New Spain in the Spanish Empire before it all became a part of Mexico. European settlement was almost non-existent outside New Mexico in 1848. And the geography was made up of four main features: the Mojave Desert, the Sonoran Desert, the Chihuahuan Deserts, and the Colorado Plateau, although there are other geographic features as well. The deserts dominate the southern and western reaches of the area, and the plateau, which is largely made up of high desert, is the main feature north. There's two major rivers, the Colorado River running in the northern and western areas, and the Rio Grande running in the east, north to south. So when we look at these deserts, there's all different kinds of floral things going on in them. There's many, many different kinds of cactus. It started with many different types of Indian tribes, and then the Spanish explorers came. Later, the Mexicans came and the priests to build missions in many of those states. And I just cannot cover all of these states in one sitting. So with your permission, I am going to break this into part one and part two. Tonight, we're going to look at Arizona and part of Colorado. I know we're not going to get to all of the states, and we probably won't cover some of your favorite places. So this is going to be another point of discussion for you after the recording has ended. There are things that you can put on your bucket list. Remember, before you die, you make a bucket list of worthy things to do. And there are 45 bucket list worthy things to do in the southwestern part alone. Now, we know that the Southwest is home to some of the most stunning scenery and landscaping of anywhere in the country. And there's amazing things to do. So we're going to look mainly at Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. And of course, you have to have lots of photos because, like we said earlier, a picture is worth 1,000 words. When we look at the Arizona bucket list items, of course, number one is always the Grand Canyon. Then we take a hike to something called the Wave. We see the famous Horseshoe Bend in the Colorado River, the rainbow colors of the Petrified Forest National Park. We view a massive meteor crater. We hike the beautiful painted desert, and we step back to the Wild West in Tombstone. Today in the Colorado bucket list, we'll visit the top of Pikes Peak, explore the Rocky Mountain National Park, and in our imagination, oh, to be 20 again, we will ski in Colorado's most famous resorts. So let's go ahead. Are you ready? Fasten your seatbelts. Got a full tank of gas. Got our imaginations going. So you may want to get an America the Beautiful Pass, which is a special deal and covers admission to all of the national parks. Now, being seniors, you can get a lifetime pass for $10. This is a great deal. It includes everybody that's in your car. The Grand Canyon National Park alone would cost you $35 a vehicle to enter. So you're going to get your money's worth from that senior pass. First thing we're going to look at, as I said, was the Grand Canyon. It is perhaps the most awe-inspiring of all natural wonders. Some places it's a mile deep and 18 miles wide at its widest point. The sheer size of it is hard to imagine unless you've seen it for yourself. It was formed by the Colorado River over the course of millions of years, and you must see it. It has some of the most famous hiking, lodges, and views, and should be on every outdoor enthusiast bucket list. You can enjoy scenic drives along the rim. Experienced hikers can tackle the hiking down into the canyon itself. There's mule trains for riding down. There's river rafting. There's air flights for an aerial view from the nearby Grand Canyon National Park Airport. Or you might go and step out on the glass bottom skywalk operated by a Hualapai tribe outside of the national park. After we catch our breath from that part of our trip, we are going to go on to the lower Antelope Valley. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Antelope Canyon, actually, is a breathtaking national canyon created mainly by flash flooding. It is divided into two parts called the Upper and Lower Antelope Canyons. These wonders are located close to the town of Page in Arizona. It's in the native Navajo tribal park land. So when you go there, whatever money you spend does go back to part of the Navajo Nation's reserves. Lower Antelope Canyon is a beautiful national rock formation, and there are only two tour operators that provide guided tours to this canyon, namely Ken's Tours and Dixie Ellis Lower Antelope Tours, run by a brother and sister. Next, we're going to put on our hiking shoes. We're going to get out of the car for a little bit. And depending on how much energy we have after a hearty breakfast, we are going to hike to the gorgeous Havasu Falls. It's not for the faint-hearted, but it may be one of the most rewarding hikes you ever embark on. When you arrive, you'll be greeted by one of the most impressive waterfalls you could ever hope to see. 30 meters of bright blue water set against a backdrop of mountains and reddish-colored rock. And it is on the edge of a secluded location in the Grand Canyon area. The total trek, this is the bad news, from the Havasupai trailhead to the famous Blue Waters is around 9 miles. The first part is the longest at 8 miles in total, takes you to the village of Supai. Then you begin descending into the canyon. You go through a beautiful slot canyon. The total hike, depending on what kind of shape you're in, takes from 3 to 5 hours. And during that time, you'll see very few signs of human life other than the odd mule train or fellow hiker. Now, if you're really not into hiking, get a helicopter. Another place that we want to look at is called the Wave, not surfing. No, it's pretty unique. Just south of the Utah border, inside Arizona. This sandstone rock formation looks out of this world. The formation is believed to have formed during the Jurassic Age. It was created by wind and water erosion. It's in the Paria Canyon Vermilion Wilderness. And because of its fragility, only 20 people are allowed in to see it each day. 10 permits can be booked online 4 months in advance, and another 10 are available the day before at the visitor center through a lottery system. In the summer months, there can be over 300 people hoping to get selected in the lottery process for a permit. Of course, the best time to visit is in the spring or the fall. The weather in the summer is over 100 degrees. Be sure to take a hat, lots of suntan lotion, and anything else you can think of. It'll keep you from collapsing on the trail. Now this one is the famous Horseshoe Bend. It is a natural beauty. We've been to the Grand Canyon, at least I have a couple times with my husband. But this is a natural horseshoe-shaped curve in the Colorado River. Imagine walking out to an overlook that opens into a 1,000-foot drop. The striking color of the blue-green water against the red rock is like eye candy. It always makes the visitors who see it for the very first time hush up. Now it's near Page off Highway 89. There is a 1.5-mile round trip hike, that's not bad, to get to the overlook from the parking lot. Part of the way is uphill and part is in soft sand. If you go later in the fall, the heat will not be an issue. And there's an ongoing debate about the best time to visit, but mid-morning to midday seems to be the most popular. Another place to see beautiful rainbow colors is the Petrified Forest National Park. It's kind of a hidden gem of the Southwest. It gets far less attention than the Grand Canyon. And that's actually a good thing because, as you know, national parks are getting busier by the year. But solitude can still be yours at under-the-radar parks like Petrified Forest. There is one 28-mile road running north and south. On this road, you'll find everything from overlooks to historic structures to hiking trails. It takes a little less than an hour if you don't stop, but you're going to want to stop. If you're interested in fossils and seeing the famous petrified wood, check out the South End. The Rainbow Forest Museum is extremely well maintained and laid out by a team of paleontologists. And of course, there are dinosaur digs in the area, but no campgrounds, not in the Petrified National Forest. Now this next one, if you like outer space, and I do, this is going to be great. Just a second. A massive meteor crater. It's close to Winslow, Arizona. If you're taking Route 66, you'll pass right by it. The estimated impact was about 50,000 years ago. The size is really impressive. It is 1 mile across, 2.5 miles circumference, and more than 550 feet deep. Imagine the impact. Well, there's a museum visit and a tour and some great locations as viewpoints to view the meteor crater. And there's also telescopes. And one awesome thing to spot when you're there is the small airplane that once crashed at the bottom. You can hardly see it with your bare eyes, so you may need to use the telescope for that. Now, for those of you who are artistic and you've been getting your paintbrushes out to while away time during the COVID quarantine, we are going to hike the beautiful painted desert. You know, many trips to Arizona center around the Grand Canyon, but when you're in that area, it's worth your effort to drive just a few more hours and explore the painted desert. It fills a huge area. It extends from the east side of the Grand Canyon all the way to the northern side of the Petrified Forest National Park. You're going to find all sorts of vivid colors. And this is all off the famous Route 66. Now, when I was there, I had to buy the book because the photos were just so much better. Land of light and shadow. Look at those pictures. I got to show you just a few. Let me find you something really great. Look at some of this. Look at that red rock. Reminds me of Sedona, which is a more upscale town in Arizona. And look at the hieroglyphics from the Indians in that area. Just a gorgeous place. And the flowers, oh yes, for those of us who are gardeners, I had a picture, if I can find it, of, I should have bookmarked it. Well, maybe I can't find it. Bone hunters. Yeah, well, here's a couple of them. Take along a wildflower guide. You will spot, if you count the different colors, you're going to spot a lot of different colored things in this beautiful painted park. Now, the next thing we want to do is put on your cowboy hat, partner. We're going to step back to the Wild West in Tombstone. Oh, yeah. It's like Knott's Berry Farm on steroids. It epitomizes the Old West. It's an hour's drive south of Tucson. When you park your car, you are smack dab in the middle of a type of one-horse town that you would see in any Western movie. Cowboys, played by today's actors, hang out on Main Street. They're leaning against the wooden beams, holding up the various storefront saloons and diners. A few times a day, they reenact the most infamous gunfight of all time as Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp take on the McLaury brothers at the OK Corral. There's other places too to see shows depicting bad guys and sheriffs with plenty of shootouts. Some are more humorous and some are carefully crafted to be historical. When you're in town, mosey up to a bar in the saloon, take a comedic cable car tour through town, eat some Southwestern fare, and of course, get yourself a shiny new pair of cowboy boots. The whole day is spent enjoying the feeling of being in the wild, wild West. And everyone loves it. Now we're going over for just a few stops in Colorado before we take a breather. The Colorado bucket list items. The first one is visiting the top of Pikes Peak, which the pioneers saw from their wagon trains. Going to the top of a mountain more than 14,000 feet tall will earn you the title of 14er. But why hike it when you can drive or take a train? That's a good way to do it. Pikes Peak is a fantastic place to visit. because you can actually drive right to the top of the mountain. The road to the top twists and turns through curves and slightly scary switchbacks, but the views are definitely worth it unless you're the one driving, in which case, keep your eyes on the road. You will be looking down on puffy white clouds. If you want to reach the top with even less effort, sit back and ride the inclined railway to the top. The beautiful red trains arrive at a station right at the summit. You get out and look around before riding back down. If you're in better shape than I am, you can hike or bike to the top as well. A lot of people are content, stay behind the wheel of the car and cruising along America's highway. It's only open for a short time during the summer. I think the road is open right now, but because of the different things going on with the COVID-19 quarantine, we'd have to check if we wanted to try and find a place to stay in that area. Another place I absolutely adore, Rocky Mountain National Park. Oh my gosh. There are so many hikes suitable for all skill levels, from easy walks around paved trails with many alpine flowers to summiting the park's tallest peak. There's a place called Dream Lake Trail, and you see the gorgeous view pictured in front of you. Alberta Falls is another relatively easy trail with a small but impressive waterfall. If you're more into scenic views you don't have to work for, take a drive along Trail Ridge Road. It winds from Estes Park and the beautiful YMCA Hotel in the east across the Continental Divide. It's the highest continuously paved road in the U.S. and a feat of engineering of itself. Plan a visit for the summer or early fall. It closes for the winter and will not reopen until late spring, depending on the amount of snow. And our last place for today, to be 20 again, skiing in Colorado's most famous ski resorts. Colorado is home to some of the best skiing and snowboarding in the U.S. You can ride the slopes, and that's on the bucket list of many winter enthusiasts. And of course, Aspen, Vail, Breckenridge, Steamboat Springs, and Telluride are enough to make most skiers drool. All of them offer excellent, world-class skiing. Beginners can enjoy things too with green level runs. And I have to say that in the summertime, check out these amazing towns. And don't forget the gift shops. Well, we went a little long today. I'm telling you, that's why we have to go to at least a part 2 next week. Also, next week is the start of our fall semester. If you are interested in borrowing a laptop computer to learn more about our class and to watch the recordings in your room on your own, you can borrow or check out a free, that's the word free, laptop from our NOCE school. Go to noce.edu for more information. Bye, you guys. I've enjoyed sharing these armchair travels with you, and we'll be concluding them next week. See you later, partner. And I hope that that is really true, that we will all be together again next week. Bye, guys. Bye.